Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This one is going to be taking a look at the new Armory loot contest, as well as the currency and how to spend it. It's going to kind of be in two different segments. Like part one, we're going to be actually looking at the Armory loot contest. This has replaced the collection contest that we had last month. It was Cena. You get Cena at 6-star gold, potentially get some stuff along the way. And then we'll look at what you can use the currency for, because the currency has replaced the midweek prize wall. So I think for me, it's very important to differentiate between the two contests. This is part one, which was replacing the collection contest we had, which we'll start there and I'll kind of break it down. And this one I feel like is a kind of a good, not kind of. I feel like this is better, at least on my roster. The stuff you can get, that there's extra stuff, maybe you don't think it is. So let's just kind of talk about it, right? There is some downside to it, but this part I think is better. The midweek part that we're going to talk about second, I don't feel nearly as good about. So one thing I like about this one, or several things, is in the milestones, there's some cool stuff. Like early on, you get this high-grade titanium, right, plate. There's a tier 6 metal early in middle of the thing. So, everyone should get one tier 6 metal if you're kind of playing this month, I would think. You keep going, you get to the chest. That's a potential 40 to 150% gem damage strap. Bunch of strap parts, bunch of metal bits, another 40 to 150% strap, and then the gold chest. Like this would be like, the balloons last month to get the gold Cena. You also get a tier 6 metal here and 20 tier 5 metals. That's the other thing. There's a lot of tier 5 metal chests in here for people if you don't have a lot of tier 5s with Fury 2s and stuff. So I feel like this part, and this is kind of what I'm going to compare it to the last one. I feel like it's fine. I feel like it's similar-ish, but there's some plates along the way, some tier 6 metals. So I feel like this is just as good, if not better, than last month's, this part, or the previous months. And then the bonus stuff gets kind of interesting for those that were maxing it out and getting a little bit farther. Now you get a little more bang for your buck. There's another strap in there. Heart of Jade, 4 million bits. Nothing too crazy there. This one has the new moment. So this milestone is pretty cool. And then the final milestone, couple tier 6 metals, Bubba's glasses. It looks like they are takedown 3s, actually. So we can kind of infer about how much currency you guys are going to get if you're not a spender. If you normally get to the gold chest milestone in events, you can get here. And it's 8 points for collecting a loot coin and 8 points for spending a loot coin. So 16 points per every loot coin. So it's basically 89,000 currency to get to here. So I think you can safely assume if you're somebody that normally gets to these milestone in events, you can let's just call it 90k to keep it even. You can expect about 90k currency from this event throughout the month. So, and besides getting to here, right? Now, if you want to spend, or, maybe you leaderboard in Showdown or whatever, wherever they put these coins all, it's possible to get higher. This milestone, if you're after the moment, you need 218,000 currency. And then the final milestone, you need 312 currency. However, right now you can straight up, if you wanted to, you could straight up buy this milestone, max this event pretty easily. They're selling the currency. So like the moment is at you need 218,000 currency, and let's say you get what, 90k free. So we can take that, we'll call it 220,000 just to keep it even. And then minus 90,000 that you're gonna probably get free-ish based on the milestone. You need 130,000 more currency. So if you go to the store and you scroll down, I'm just trying to assign a value to these milestones, by the way. Not saying you should buy it. You should definitely wait to the end to spend. It's 25,000 for 20 bucks. So 5 times is 125,000, basically $100 for the moment if you're someone that normally gets to the gold chest, right? And then it's another $80 to max it and get the final milestone. So about $180 if you don't get any extra anywhere, and if, these are a lot of ifs, and if you get to that milestone for free. So that kind of assigns some value or some price points to this event if you were curious. Obviously, you should wait to the end. There's no reason to do it early. Get as much as you can free, and then just spend the minimum if these are milestones you want, right? So just kind of outlining that for people. So that is part 1. I think this is fine. It's as good as last month's. There's tier 6 medals. There's a bunch of plates. I feel like it's actually better to me with the straps and stuff than the stuff you potentially could get in the other stuff. You guys let me know what you think on this part. So they're like I said, 2 separate things. This is the collection contest, and it's been replaced with this. And then there's also extra stuff you could spend for, leaderboard for. So I feel like there's nothing wrong with adding that kind of stuff as long as this stuff was as good, and I feel like it is. So I feel like that part's good. Now, the second part, and this is where I start to really struggle, is we no longer have a midweek prize wall. What we have is loot, and we have Armory of Champions prize wall. So, like I said, before on the prize wall, you could get something, right? If you played all month, you guys let me know how much currency you'd usually get on the old stuff. I'm gonna assume somewhere between like 6 and 15,000 for most people, 6,000 and 15,000. Maybe pick yourself out a moment, something like that. But you could pick specifically what you wanted. Now that 90K, you're not taking anything off here, so don't even bother looking at it unless you're planning on spending. Like I said, $100 puts you to 218K. You want to spend $100, you're going to get a random move damage strap. Not worth it at all. You want to spend 180 and get the moment. Now you're up to about 312,000 currency. So you get the moment, you max the event. You spent $180. Now you can maybe get yourself a Tiffy plate on top of it, this kind of stuff. And from a straight spending, which again, I would say wait till the end. That doesn't maybe sound horrible because you start to get other stuff, but it's a lot of money, and we were getting this, potentially for free. So whatever. Again, my issue is before you had a choice with your currency and now you don't. So what has replaced that? This prize wall isn't bad. It's not great. It's not bad. It's cool that there's a few things to pick, but it's a very few things. 2 6-star metal bits, by the way, 229,000, $100 to get to that level, and then you'd have to spend all of it on those 2 items. So what has replaced the midweek month-long prize wall for you guys? And this is where now we're no longer talking about spending. You get your 90,000 currency for the month, let's say. Play all month, get 90,000 before you could pick your prize wall stuff at the end. Now you have these loot pulls, which is random luck, that you can go spend your 90,000 currency. The one everyone likes to talk about is the gear loot. So it's 10,000 for a pull, or so far that I've heard. Everyone loves talking about this gear loot. It's 10,000 for a pull. So you play all month, you get 9 pulls, right? If you look at the percentage, it's a 1.49% chance. So on 9 pulls, you have about a 10% chance of hitting a featured pool. So 1 in 10 chance-ish. I'm not doing exact math here, so someone who can do exact math can answer me. You look, there's a ton of gears in here. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Most of these gears aren't useful. None of these 4 matter. They won't change your roster. If you're collecting them, cool. They're not going to change your roster. Goldberg gold gear is definitely useful. DDP, some of you can use. So potentially his gear is somewhat useful. Foley's is potentially useful. Asuka blows Maxine away. Charlotte's gear is in the other one. Brett's gear, whatever. Brett's okay enough with rumble plates and stuff. Jacob gear's good. This gear, whatever. And Yeet gear is good, right? So there's a few different things, but realize you have a 10% chance of getting even one of these. Now, if we assume they're weighted equal, which I would almost guarantee they're not, you can't ever trust that anything in a bucket is equal because they never really are unless they say equal odds. This doesn't say equal odds, so let's just assume you have a much, much higher chance of getting all of these 4 crappy gears than the rest of it. There is also 18 different gears in this featured pool. So let's say the thing you really want is the yeet gear. You spend your 9 pulls on here. You have a 10% chance to even hit one of the featured, and then a 1 in 18 chance to hit the one you want specifically. So basically, you're under like 1% chance. You way under 1% chance to actually hit the one you want, and that's if they're equal odds, which I can almost guarantee you they're not. You of course do get some commons, but not. I mean, there's some impactful stuff. I mean, Foley gear's nice, Macho gear's nice. I guess the Hogan gear's kind of nice after the reworks, right? So there is that, but that's about it. There's not a lot of good stuff in here in the commons, and there's also 34 commons. So you have 9 pulls, 1 in 4 chance you get the one you're looking for in the commons, right? So the Armory loot being the most expensive is obviously, in my opinion, the worst. Because the thing with RNG, the bigger of the sample size you have, the better your luck of hitting it. So I would say the gear is the worst because you're gonna get a limited 9 pulls. Of course, if you hit something and win the lottery, you're gonna be like, this is the best one ever. Then we go to the moment loot. And it's 5,000 for 1 pull. So you're going to get 18 pulls on the moment loot. You're like, oh man, that sounds really great. 18 pulls for the moment loot. Okay. Featured is a 10% chance. So you're going to get an average 1.8. Let's be generous and say you're going to get 2 featured. Odds wise, you may get 0. By the way, there's no guarantee with odds that you hit 2 featured. You could easily hit 0. You could hit 16. You're not going to hit 16, but like literally every time you pull 1, there is a 10% chance to hit it. If you miss 3 in a row, you're not more likely to hit it on the 4th. There is always a 10% chance to get the featured card, never more. So, man, this looks great. Abby the Witch, Solo, Jacob, LA Knight, Indy, Sherry, Ron, DDP for those that like him, Naomi, Mello with the trainer. It looks really good at the top, right? Roxanne's in there, Braun Breaker, the Dudley boys. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But you're only getting 2 from this pool. And then you go to the moments and okay, we got the new Dom moment. What else is good? The Wyatt moment, the Tiffany moment's 312,000 currency. So there's some useful stuff in here. Beer truck, Dexter Loomis, Indy Hartwell wedding, loser leaves Judgment Day. You know what I mean? The Hall of Fame one. So there's a lot of good stuff in there when you initially look at it. But if you start counting, there are 43 posters in the featured loot. So you're going to hit 2 featured, we decided, being generous on average. There's 43 posters. There's 19 moments. So 62 items with 2 pulls. And this is, again, assuming they're all equally weighted, which they don't say equal odds, so I can guarantee you they're not. But this is best case scenario. You have a 1 in 31 chance of getting the specific thing you're looking for. Just let that sink in. You play 33 months in a row by the odds, and then you get 1 item you're looking for if you're looking for a specific item. Okay? That's 3 years. So you can expect to get 1 specific item, odds-wise, about once in 3 years with your 90,000 currency. So is there a lot of good stuff in here? Yeah. If you don't have any of it, sure, maybe it's good for you. But if you have even half of it, it starts to get significantly worse, right? So again, don't love the odds. So don't really like this, because odds of me getting, I mean, so I'll just use me as an example. Stuff that I actually don't have. I don't have Abby. So that's one item. I don't have this. That I don't have and I want. We'll go with that. That's two items I would want. Three. I'd take the Tiffy moment just because, so we'll go four. Beer truck moment, sure. Five. And actually I want the Dudley Boy moment. It's not great, but you know, six. So six items, like, for me, that I actually want. I'm missing more, but in that case, right, six items for me. And I get two. So 6 of the 62, yeah, I'm not gonna have, like, go a full year before it, odds wise. Take up to a year to hit one of the 6 in here, and that's assuming it didn't rotate, right? So again, I don't really like this when I look at it. So what about the titles loot? They're only 1,000. I can do 90 pulls on the titles. All right, that seems like maybe it's better on paper. 7.69% chance. So like, with a 1 in 8 pull chance, and I have 90 pulls, I'm gonna get like what, 11 ish from the featured pool, give or take 11, 12, something like that. 1, 2, you know, we have a total of, in the featured, I wrote this down ahead of time so I didn't have to count it, there's 18 items in the featured, and we're gonna get 11 pulls. If they're equally weighted, theoretically we should get a lot of stuff from this pool, because we're getting 11, there's 18 items. Odds of getting the specific thing, if they're equally weighted, should be good. But I do want to mention, I don't think they're weighted equally, so that's one. Two, in my case, there isn't anything in here plate-wise I even want. I have multiples personally of every plate in here. The straps, you have no control over what era they are. Used to be we just pick the era. So this could be completely useless era-wise, stuff I don't need, and it's between 100 and 150. It's no guarantee. Affiliation strap, again, you can't pick the class, you can't pick the era. Same thing with these, can't pick class or era. It's just random. And then the metals, who knows if they're even what you want, because they're any of the set bonuses. Could be armor, could be takedown, could be fury. And again, I don't think they're weighted equally. So you're going to get 11 items from that. If you're somebody that's missing a bunch of plates, I think this is probably your best bet, right? So you've played a bunch, you don't have a Sheik plate, you don't have a Hulk plate, these are plates you want, right? You don't have a May plate, like, don't have enough Piper plates, no LA, no Eyes of Judgment. So I think for the average player, this is probably the way to go, because you get such a huge sample size with your 90 pulls, you know, bunch of high damage straps potentially. Maybe you get really lucky and hit a couple metals. And then as far as fallback on the commons, the rest of your 80 pulls, you, I would think, would get some straps in there as well, but again, we don't know how they're weighted. And then tier 5 metals, strap parts, metal bits, etc. So if I'm breaking this down for the average player who gets 90,000 currency, assuming you don't have a lot of plates, this is probably your best bet. But targeting one specific anything in any of these, you're probably not getting it, right? So, well, I think I can see some parts of this being better if you don't have a lot of stuff. I feel like these loots are probably solid for you. But where I struggle with, and where I had a choice, right? I could specifically target that one era I was really weak in straps. I could, you know, specifically target that one gear that I wanted to get, and it was guaranteed as long as I got the currency. With this, it's just like doing pulls, and you guys know I don't like pulls, and I hate RNG, so I don't really care for that. I don't think it's bad for everyone. I do think it's bad for me, so I'm really curious about you guys' thoughts. I do want you to go into this realistically, though, guys, and not assume you're going to get what you want. You're going to get what you get. And that's why I tried to show you guys just how many items are in the featured pool versus how many featured you can expect to hit. And that's assuming they're equal odds, which nowhere does it say they are. So I think it's safe to assume they're heavily, heavily weighted towards the lesser items. Especially when you look at this, right? If you figure, this is the best example I can give you guys, right? In all of the, if you max the Armory contest, you get 4 tier 6 medals getting to 5 million points. You get 2 tier 6 medals getting to the 90,000. So let's go off of the 2. And they sell 2 medals for 212,000. I think it's silly to think if you do 11 pulls, a bunch of them are going to be these medals. Well, and maybe they will be these medals, but it seems very unlikely based on how few they're getting and based on the cost of them in the store. Really to me seems like they're putting a premium price on the tier 6 medals. So I don't feel like they're probably going to be weighted really well. I could be wrong. Speaking of premium price, look at the price on the strap. So I kind of got a feeling you're not going to get a lot of the stuff maybe you want to get. I don't know. It's early. So throughout the month, come back and comment on this. But don't comment like I just got XYZ. Like let us know how many you did total throughout the month. Like try and keep track of it. Man, I spent 90,000. I did all of my pulls on the straps or the medals, and this is what I got kind of thing. Because on paper to me it looks really rough. And I really missed the prize wall in the choices because that was fun for me to plan. Is there some good stuff in here? Yes. Do I see how the loot could be beneficial to people if you get lucky? Absolutely, yes. Also, if you like doing loot pulls, if you're that kind of person and you like gambling, I could see you liking this. I don't. Loot pulls are my least favorite part of the game, so I could be way off base. But anyway, when people kept asking me to break it down, give my thoughts, like what do I think you should buy or use your currency on? Honestly, I can't tell you because it's all really random, but I do feel like for how few options, how few pulls you're going to get, the gear is by far the worst. Then I think the moments is the next worst. And then I think the titles is probably the best, but also keep in mind, there's nothing in here I even want other than some medals and straps. So while it might be the best as far as the least amount of disappointment, there's certainly nothing like, unless you don't have a bunch of Piper plates or LA Knight plates, then it's much more exciting, right? And again, we don't know what they're weighted. So I think for most players, my advice to you would be take this one if you're short on plates, because you're going to get 11 in here. And everything in here seems pretty useful-ish if you don't have a huge roster, right? If you don't have a ton of straps and medals and plates, I feel like everything in here is at least useful. So I guess I would say my advice for most people is going to be to pull on this one. But I would also wait till the end of the month. That's the other thing worth noting, because who knows where you're going to get, and then you get more data, other people pull, you know what I mean? And maybe we find out like this one particular loot is giving XYZ more, sort of thing. Anyway, I hope this video helps, guys. I'm trying to keep my opinion out of it as much as I can, because while doing it, and just try and tell you how I would approach it. It's really hard for me because I'm just super disappointed. I really liked having a choice, and this one I don't now. But I don't think it is without merit, potentially. Just I think you need to temper your expectations. On a roster like mine, there's really no chance of me getting anything I want from this, so I don't really like it, but I think it could help potentially smaller or medium rosters, so that part is good, potentially. Although I could argue that having the choice would do the same. So anyway, let me know what you think, guys, and remember to like, subscribe, and share, because that really helps me out. Other than that, thanks for watching. Good luck out there. I hope this helps, guys. Really curious about your feedback. Post up in the comments.